The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, horror fans, and welcome to episode 321, not 311. We're
going back in time.
321 of Frightmares. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for 1998's The Faculty is Gabrielle Proctor yet again.
I'm the backbone of this podcast now. You would be nowhere without me these last 3 weeks, specifically.
Last 3 weeks, sure, yeah.
Specifically. You're welcome.
So, thanks for doing 3 weeks back to back.
Carrying the team. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah, we are doing another Robert Rodriguez. I really didn't mean to do these in such quick succession. I also plan to do another one later on that I had to just move to another time. I was like, we can't just do 3 Robert Rodriguez movies in like 8 years.
Well, not with that attitude.
I know. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to go through all his movies in, a few episodes. So I moved another one to another place thing. So yeah, I'm pretty sure, just like From Dusk Till Dawn, this is you probably showed me this one as well for the first time, I want to say.
Yes, that would be accurate.
So yeah, my history's kind of boring with this one as well. The first time I logged this was January 21st, 2019. So 21 days after I got a Letterboxd. And then I watched it again the next year, and then it's been 5 years since I watched it. So that's got to change. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's way too big of a time jump between watching this movie. So what is your hopefully much more fun history with this movie?
So it's 1993.
Oh, shut up. 1993? 5 years
It starts before the movie even came out.
That doesn't even make sense.
No. I have no idea when I saw this for the first time. I do know that my sister at one point gave me a bunch of movies because when she was in college, it was definitely a heavy amount of ripping DVDs. And this was one of them that she put on my computer. So I would watch it fairly regularly because it was a movie I had access to. And this was like pre-Netflix being online and having a lot of streaming available. So yeah, this is just a movie I've had with me through most of my teen years.
It's been with me since I can remember.
At least since like 16.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, going on 20 years.
Yeah, I had the realization that in 2029, I will have had a Facebook for 20 years, and I almost threw up at that this morning when I was driving our tiny infant baby daughter, who's not a toddler at all, to the parents' house. I was like, oh God, I don't know what made me think of that, but I was like, yeah, I remember joining Facebook in 2009. I was like, it's 2025.
Dude, my email ends in 2004. I get an annual reminder. Every time I look at it, I think, oh no, it's over 20 years old. And that was like my second ever email.
It's the worst.
It hurt my feelings.
This is the worst. Oh my God. So this is going to be a fun time. I mean, this has good ratings, but I still feel like it's niche in a way.
I feel like it's not talked about as much as it should be.
And especially when it comes to Robert Rodriguez films, I don't think, he's got, Planet Terror. He's got From Dusk Till Dawn. Of course, the Spy Kids movies. Can't leave those out.
Well, yeah.
I think it's just time. I got to revisit them. I haven't watched those, and I couldn't even tell you anything that happened. That's how long it's been.
All I know is that Alan Cummings is Floop, and he does this with his hand for the Floop sign.
I'm gonna see if there's just a big bundle of all of them. except for the 4 and 5. Don't give a fuck about those. First 3. Oh, boom, right there. triple feature. $40. That seems a little high.
So
I'll
those
figure
for
it
later.
out. I'll figure
Anyway,
it out.
yeah.
Anywho.
I think part of the reason this one isn't talked about as frequently, despite people liking it, is I'm noticing the less icons in like older movies, like 90s movies, like an iconic face of the what?
Keep going. That's why I'm not speaking. I'm just giving you looks.
For the film, like Ghostface, Leatherface, they like an iconic villain, that kind of thing.
Like this is riddled with iconic people.
Oh no, not the actors themselves.
Okay, yeah.
I'm saying
villain.
when the villain's not really an iconic face, an iconic design, because you really don't get a clear look at the thing in the movie, and even if you did, it would be kind of weird to put on merchandising.
Well, yeah, you don't want to spoil the big reveal.
Yeah, so I think that ends up putting these kind of movies further back, because when people think about movies, they think in images, and you tend to picture things that are easily pick-outable.
Well, let's be honest here. The first Scream poster just had Drew Barrymore on top of it, you know. The second Scream had the same layout as The Faculty with everyone like in a triangle. So it's not like Ghostface was on the poster.
No, but once you've watched posters. It, you think of Scream, Ghostface immediately pops to mind.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking of
that.
90s horror movies, you're going to think of the ones that have a recognizable villain. You start thinking of them via the bad guy.
Yeah, fair.
Just like when you think of superhero movies, you start thinking of them by the superheroes that were in those movies.
Well, nonetheless, we're here to talk about it. And if you haven't seen it, shame on you, probably. Shame on you for not seeing it before I saw it in 2019.
You get it together, God.
No, but before we do that, we got to do this. We got to do What Did Jason Hill Make Me Watch? This week, Jason made me watch a movie called Strangeland from 1998. This has been on my radar for quite some time, mainly because I recognize the poster. And the description is, a detective pursues a sadist specializing in body modification rituals who lures teenagers through the internet. So right off the bat, I remembered that D. Snyder not only wrote this, stars in this as the titular lurer. His name is Captain Howdy. And right off the bat, great metal music. It's 1998. The movie though is instantly dated, just like You've Got Mail, because you hear this internet modem kick up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, but then You've Got Mail plays the puppy song.
Yeah, I know. And then there's these two girls on an AIM style chat room. For all you Gen Zers out there, AIM is AOL Instant Message. That's how ancient I am. Pretty sure millennials invented LOL. Then we have Linda Cardinelli and Amy Smart are in this, which is random. And then Robert Englund also shows up in this thing. So I do find it weird, very a la Quentin Tarantino, how he writes himself into these weird roles. That D. Snyder not only wrote this, but also starred as the weirdo luring the girls. What does that say about him? Kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him, but whatever. He's also a weird-looking guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
He is an intense-looking guy. So, and it's hard to get it. I want to talk about this. Like, this is a movie I would love to actually review on the podcast because it was fascinating. It was really fascinating because it's just so 90s, but not in like a painful way.
More like a time capsule kind of way.
Exactly. It was such a time capsule for the 90s, not like Cube where we were like, because you wouldn't even know what year it was because they're in a fucking cube, but you can just tell that this was made in the 90s. But this is like a time capsule of the 90s. And I love how there's one part where Amy Smart is basically there just to get the cops on the right trail because she's, a hip millennial on the interwebs.
In the 90s, she wasn't a millennial so much.
No.
They weren't really winging out millennial as a term.
I'm just saying, millennials are 81 to 96, and this was 98, so she was in high school. So I know back then, but So she was the millennial age, and she was basically there to get the cops on the right track. And I was like, leave it to millennials to handhold boomers with technology. You're welcome. I would like to talk about this more, but again, I don't want to give it away. There's a very weird moment. Like, think it escalates so quickly, and then everything kind of comes to a halt, and then everything kicks back. It's very bizarrely paced, but I ended up really enjoying it. It's 88 minutes. It's got a 2.5 out of 5. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Jason gave it a 2 out of 5, and he described it as new metal Silence of the Lambs, which is really funny. But this also kind of feels, it's 1998, so torture porn's really not a thing yet. This kind of like predates that and kind of does the same thing in a sense. It's not graphic, but it does have that element of like torture in it. It's very bizarre, because I'd say Saw and Hostel were really the things to kind of kick that off, and those weren't until the 2000s. So it's streaming on Tubi, so I recommend it. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, just be prepared for D. Snider's. He's got such an intense face, and then just be prepared. So check it out if you want. Again, that is Strangeland.
Jason says, check it out. You'll probably hate it.
Thanks, Jason. Let's move on to the highest grossing movies and Oscar winners of the year. So this is bizarre because the highest grossing movie of this year was also Titanic. It made a total of $2.3 billion, but in 1998, it still made more than the highest grossing movie that year, which was Armageddon, only bringing in like a few $100,000. This brought in almost $500,000 or like 500 million. I don't know. Brought in a lot of money. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. Very strange. Highest grossing horror movie of the year was Urban Legend, $72.5 million. This was the 71st Academy Awards presented on Sunday, March 21st, 1999, honoring movies that released in 1998. Best actor goes to Robert Benigni.
I'm pretty sure he's Italian.
Benigni for Life is Beautiful. Actor in a supporting role goes to James Coburn for Affliction. Best actress goes to Gwyneth Paltrow for Shakespeare in Love. Actress in a supporting role goes to Judi Dench for Shakespeare in Love. Cinematography goes to Janusz Kaminski, which I'm pretty sure I've heard that name before on the show, for Saving Private Ryan. Director goes to Steven Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan. And Best Picture, Shakespeare in Love.
Which is criminal when
you have Saving Private Ryan?
When Saving Private Ryan and Life is Beautiful were on the ticket. Hell, even Elizabeth, which was a more... which also had the guy who played the lead in Shakespeare in Love was the love interest in Elizabeth.
I don't know.
The guy who played Shakespeare.
Sure.
Anyway, so you have a World War II movie and a movie about a guy trying to shield his son from the horrors of the Holocaust, and what essentially amounts to a Shakespeare fanfic. Won out. Yeah, that's how Oscars get bought out. This is like the worst example.
It's bullshit. So, description here if you care. The world's greatest ever playwright, William Shakespeare, is young, out of ideas, and short on cash, but meets his ideal woman and is inspired to write one of his most famous plays. I looked it up because I was curious. I asked you, I was like, how much of this is accurate? Not fucking much.
No. That's what I said. It's like a fanfic with some facts thrown in.
That's the confusing part. But most of this is all made up. I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit. This isn't even historically accurate. If it was a period piece that was true to a story, sure, I could find it interesting. This is all fucking made up.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know a lot about Shakespeare. There was not like a lot known about his person, like about him as a person, at least according to the internet. I don't know. So I just don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't understand why Shakespeare looks like a fuckboy in this. He just looks like a fuckboy.
Joseph Fiennes can't help. He has pretty eyelashes. Okay.
Well, no, I'm not saying he's unattractive. I'm just saying how he looked with the little pencil thin mustache and his weird. He didn't fit into the time period at all. At least for me, just his face and his hair. None of that fit in. I genuinely thought Jeffrey Rush was playing the character of Shakespeare at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is obviously Shakespeare. And then he's like, I have a play with Shakespeare. And I'm like, oh, because Jeffrey Rush actually looks like Shakespeare would look. He's got the weird hair, he's got the look. And I'm like, we're not even making Shakespeare look like Shakespeare. What is this?
Well, and that's a thing that's really, if you really look at historical films that take more license with the like costuming. I mean, like the show Rain, they're wearing feathers in their hair, for Christ's sake. That's not a thing in that time period. That's a thing that was popular in the 2000s when the show came out.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's supposed to be sexy in the film. Shakespeare's not going to be sexy if he's walking around with a chrome dome and long hair on the sides and poofy pants. So they got a hot guy, Joseph Fiennes, with pretty eyes, and put him in clothes that were period accurate, but less goofy looking. And what's funny is you say he doesn't belong in that period, but Queen Elizabeth, the queen in that movie, you bump up to the front end of her reign, and you're in the other Oscar nominee movie, Elizabeth, where he is the guy that she is secretly sleeping with throughout the film. So they really, really like putting Joseph Fiennes in period films, though he's actually doing The Handmaid's Tale right now. It's just so funny because it's like here he is trying not to piss off Queen Elizabeth, the old Queen Elizabeth, that movie, sleeping with young Queen Elizabeth, same time period, like just a few decades apart.
Speaking of Judi Dench, she is somehow bald and also has a full head of hair in this movie.
Yeah, that's a wig.
Also, and you're telling me you can't, how Shakespeare looks, you can't pull it off. This guy is wildly attractive, okay?
Okay.
You don't really? Like he's got a really nice face. Like he's got a nice face. You don't think so? Hair aside.
Oh.
Look at his face.
Yeah, his face is fine.
Yeah. You can make people look go check him out. Goose Wayne on TikTok. He's an incredibly like attractive face, but he's just got insane hair.
Yeah, so
you can make that.
And
like,
yeah, 1998, that's not happening. That's not what they do.
Regardless. I just don't care.
But again, that winning, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, winning over Saving Private Ryan and Life is Beautiful is actually criminal.
That's what I'm saying. All of these lately, it seems like the theme in the 90s, like, you know, a lot of the 80s ones I understood. I got it. You know, like I was shocked at how much I liked Amadeus. Like Platoon was really good. I don't think Driving Miss Daisy should have won, but it was good. But the 90s is this is fucking outrageous. It's insane in the 90s. Like Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, Shafted. Saving Private Ryan, Life is Beautiful, Shafted. I mean, this decade is just not going well.
Well,
yeah,
and this
I
one was
don't know.
entirely Harvey Weinstein, too. So
Well,
he's the one who bought this Oscar for them.
Yeah.
At least we've got some better picks coming up.
Yeah, thank God, because I don't know how much more of this I can handle. It's got a 3.3 out of 5. Sure, if this is your thing. I'm not into historically inaccurate. Like, if I'm going to watch something that's based on a real person, I'd like it to be some level of accurate, but it's not. I gave it a 2 out of 5. I don't like it. My review is, you can tell Shakespeare is a cool guy because he sits on the legs of that stool rather than the seat. 17 minutes in, he sits on the legs of a stool instead
That
of
has
just
been knocked over for clarification.
stupid as hell. Streaming on Pluto TV. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to the IMDb Roundup. This is The Faculty from 1998, released on December 25th of that year in the USA.
Because nothing says Christmas like this movie.
Which is very strange time to release this.
Yeah, it is. Especially it was giving like summer.
Yeah, it's not giving winter.
No.
Rated R for violence, gore, strong language, drug use, and some nudity. Oh yeah, shower scene. We've got mild sex and nudity, severe violence and gore, severe profanity, moderate alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and moderate frightening and intense scenes. Moderate? Really? Runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes, listed as a horror mystery sci-fi, directed by Robert Rodriguez, who also did From Dusk Till Dawn, Spy Kids 1 through 5, I've corrected that now, and Planet Terror. Written by David Wechter, who also wrote 47 episodes of Penn and Teller bullshit, whatever that is. Bruce Kimmel, who only has 12 other credits for random things, and the GOAT himself of just 90s teen screams. We've got Kevin Williamson, who also wrote Scream 1 through 4, I Know What You Did Last Summer, 128 episodes of Dawson's Creek, as well as being the creator of that show, and 171 episodes of Vampire Diaries, which I'm also pretty sure he created too.
Gosh, I wonder why I like this.
Right? Composed by Marco Bellatran, who also composed Scream 1 through 4, Dracula 2000, and Renfield. Boy likes him some Dracula movies. Cinematography by Enrique Chidiac, who also did the cinematography for 28 Weeks Later, 127 Hours, and the Minecraft movie.
Oh, wow.
So there's that.
Sure is.
Edited by Robert Rodriguez, who also edited From Dusk Till Dawn, Spy Kids 1 through 5, and Planet Terror. This is like one of the greatest casts. Such a great cast. We've got Jordana Brewster as Delilah, who's probably most famous for her role in the Fast and Furious series or franchise or saga as Mia. Clea Duvall as Stokely, who was also in But I'm a Cheerleader as Graham. Laura Harris as Mary Beth, who was also in Severance as Maggie. Josh Hartnett as Zeke, who was also in Halloween H2O as John, Laurie's son. We've got Sean Hatosi as Stan, who was also in and Out as Stan. Remember when I said I was going to, on the last episode? And Elijah Wood as Casey, who I'm going to assume everybody knows as Frodo Baggins in Lord of the Rings.
Who?
Shout out to Selma Hayek, Famke Jensen, Piper Laurie, Christopher McDonald, Robert Patrick, Usher, and Jon Stewart. Like, god damn.
Everybody was in this movie.
Everybody was in this movie. Estimated budget of $15 million, grossing $40.3 million. Filmed in Lockhart, San Marcos, Austin, and Dallas, Texas. You can watch this on Plex. Movies that came out around the same time. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Bug's Life, Rugrats movie, Babe, Pig in the City, Psycho, Jack Frost, Shakespeare in Love, shockingly, The Prince of Egypt, Mighty Joe Young, Superstar, The Sixth Sense, and Blast from the Past. You've seen every single one of those.
No.
What?
10? I think it's 10. Yeah.
Can you tell me how many you haven't seen? Because I'm not counting.
Oh, okay. 1,
oh my God.
2.
I assume you haven't seen Superstar?
Correct.
And you haven't seen Mighty Joe Young?
No, I own that shit on VHS.
The Rugrats movie?
I saw that in
Oh
theaters.
my God, I don't know. Just tell me.
Jack Frost. I haven't seen the one with Michael Keaton in it.
Oh, yeah. I got confused.
But I've seen everything else.
IMDb summary: when Casey Connor, Harrington High School's newspaper photographer, witnesses the murder of a nurse and sees her alive again, he decides to investigate the bizarre happenings. That is a
what a weird way to
wild
sum that
description. Anyways, this is The Faculty.
From Kevin Williamson, the writer of Scream and Scream 2, and Robert Rodriguez, the director of Desperado, and From Dusk Till Dawn, comes a new science fiction thriller.
No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers' dirty looks.
The students at Harrington High have always suspected their teachers were from another planet.
Is this going to be on the test?
This is the test.
This time, they're right. Now, these 6 students won't just question authority. They'll have to destroy it. The Faculty.
Please report to the principal's office.
So, Gabby, overall thoughts? What do you got?
Oh, I love this movie.
Jeez.
No,
I know, it's just funny. I just didn't even get the sentence down. You're like, I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so much fun to watch. It's a classic. It has this great tension to it, and the dialogue in it is so much fun because it's like, why is everyone so mad, like so rude with each other constantly? Mm-hmm. And you've just got like a slew of 90s icons. No one's phoning in their acting. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, I love this movie because upon watching it the first time, so my overall thoughts are, I think this is an incredible movie, especially if you get this summary right here. Mm-hmm. You have no fucking clue it's going to be a creature feature, and not only just a creature feature, but getting a huge monster at the end. So that reveal is so amazing because even like you said on the cover, it's just a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
So this has one of the greatest payoffs, I think, you know, in like a 90s movie of this style where you're like, oh shit, people are aliens, but also there's a big ass one at the end.
Yep.
So that's my overall thoughts here. going straight into likes, I do want to talk about the characters kind of individually because there are so many and they're all from different cliques, but we'll get there. So I looked at you after the opening scene and I was like, you know what? I'm really understanding that Robert Rodriguez just knows how to open a movie, because just like From Dusk Till Dawn, this movie just fucking goes.
Yep.
It just starts. There's no yada yadaing. There's no, oh, let's have some exposition. It's just like full tilt. Let's go. Wasting no time. Full of mystery, full of horror, full of oh shit moments. And it's just such an incredible opening. I forgot how quickly it starts. I mean, you start with Patrick, not Patrick Stewart. That's not him.
That would be a different movie.
That would be a really different movie. Patrick, fucking
Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick, yelling at the and I think it's interesting because you start with him and he's yelling at the football team, so you know he's got a temper. Clearly, he's screaming and yelling at everyone. And then someone approaches him, and then it cuts to the next scene. And then the next time we see him, he's acting all just kind and curious and weird. And you're like, okay, well, that's strange. I just saw you acting like a maniac. What just happened? Something happened. I don't know what. So I like how they showed him and how much he's contrasted after he, gets infected or gets parasites or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the movie is it's a great opening, and most of the time, I mean, really, you're wondering what the hell's going on until you start getting hints here and there. I think obviously the biggest reveal, or one of the biggest reveals, is when Delilah and Casey are in the closet in the faculty, lounge, and they watch all that shit unfold, which I guess that's what the IMDb description is referring to.
Like 20 minutes into the film.
That's such a weird description, but yeah, specifically about the opening, anything you want to mention?
Oh, I love that the opening is a cover of Another Brick on in the Wall, which is a song about conforming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't put that together. Very nice. Yeah. So let's talk about the characters, because I find them all very interesting, especially the ones who, well, I mean, everybody turns besides our cast, but so yeah, I already talked about Coach Willis, and then Principal Drake dies almost immediately. At least you think so, because she gets stabbed with a pencil a few times.
No.
Yeah.
Scissors.
He asks for a pencil and then stabs her with a pencil.
In the hand, and then she runs away, gets out of the building, and Piper Laurie stabs her with scissors.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Get it
so
together.
you think she's just dead until she pops back in out of nowhere like 40 minutes in, and you're like, oh, okay. But you don't really get a sense of who she is, except for the fact that she's trying to fend off Robert Patrick, who she thinks is drunk when they have that little confrontation. So you don't really get to see much of who she is before she turns. Mrs. Olsen is, I think we see her infected from the very beginning, right? I mean, there's very little time, if we do see her, where she's not infected. Because the second Principal Drake comes out of the school, Mrs. Olsen already infected.
Yeah, so the only interaction you get with the teachers is the football field with the coach, and then the other teachers discussing budgets in the teachers' lounge. Oh,
that's right.
Where like they want money for this and that. They're clearly all disenfranchised at this point and beat down from having no money for anything except for football, and they're all clearly miserable and happy, which you kind of have to see how everybody is to see the difference later.
Right.
So, but
you don't get much of, that's what I'm saying. You don't really get much of any of them.
You get enough to see that they're miserable, and enough to know that if they're acting differently, it doesn't seem right from the bit you got.
Well, especially Mr. Tate, because he's drinking on the job.
Yep.
And he is probably the most miserable out of all of them. And then you have Mrs. Burke, who is, Famke Jensen, the really the hot teacher that they made ugly because, glasses.
Yeah.
Glasses just make women ugly. So when you see Mr. Tate again, he's just chugging, or when he's infected, you see him with a big thing of water. You see Mrs. Burke, she's taken off her glasses and just, zhuzhed herself up. There we go. So the contrast there is much more clear than some of them. But yeah, I think it's really interesting how they do show you a little bit of everybody. And then speaking about, our little gaggle of teenagers here, you have like the tropes, which is great. You have Delilah, the superficial cheerleader, clearly only cares about her status. You have Stokely, the dark brooding gothic girl who probably has a bad family dynamic. Mary Beth, the new kid on the block, trying to fit in. Zeke, who is just too fucking cool for school. Or at least he thinks he is.
Yep.
Drug dealer. And then Casey, the nerd who doesn't really fit in anywhere. But what I find interesting is how he's not the only one that doesn't seem to fit in. Like, every single person is part of a different clique, but they don't really fit into that clique that they're a part of, which I find interesting. Like, they're all kind of separated. Like, the jock.
Yep.
What's his name?
Stan.
He is kind of removing himself from that group. He doesn't really feel like he fits in. He doesn't want to play football anymore. He wants to go do something else.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of, what kind of works for them is because they've all been kind of set up in these positions, these roles. And, like Delilah, she wants to be the head cheerleader and the head of the newspaper. She wants to be the overachiever. There's actually more to her than that. But she doesn't want people knowing any more than that. But you have several characters like Stan and like Casey who have been pigeonholed in these roles and forced to stay in those boxes to conform with what everyone expects of them.
Yeah.
But they'd really like to be doing something else. Stan would like to just be left alone and be able to like rely on himself in a mental or like in an academic kind of way, not just because he has a good arm.
That's true,
and
yeah.
Casey would like to be treated like a person and seen. He would just like to be friggin' seen.
Yeah, poor Casey.
Yeah. And I mean, like, they're all just taking the roles and running with them to shield themselves in a sense.
Well, something else that I kind of found interesting about this, about each character and kind of isolation is that Mrs. Burke early on, she's talking about Robinson Crusoe, right? Asking their class what their greatest fear is. And they come to the conclusion that it's isolation. And then Zeke elaborates that it's the internal, quote, the internal agony of his loneliness. Isolation is kind of a consistent theme in this movie.
Yep.
The invasion brings together several students from different cliques who are, again, kind of isolated within them. Some are classic loners, though. You have, like I said, you have Stokely, who would probably be part of like the, the goth or whatever alt scene. And we talked about Stan. He feels disconnected from the popular groups in which they're part of. Mary Beth speaks of loneliness the same way Caruso does. After it's revealed that she's the alien queen. And she says that the main students lead a disaffected, lonely life. She talks about them trying to make them part of something special. So it's quite interesting. Like, there's a real sense of isolation in this movie, even though everyone comes together. But they're coming together from just a real sense of being isolated in their own cliques.
Yeah, it's funny enough. It's like when Rose in Titanic is saying, sometimes it feels like I'm standing in a crowded room screaming at the top of my lungs and no one bothers to look up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm miserable, but nobody sees it.
That's true. Yeah, and that's kind of interesting. Like, because I was trying to put something together. I've been trying to do that more, like putting things together. Of course, I don't get the another brick in the wall thing right off the bat like you did.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even realize it was playing until it was like almost over, and I was like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah, I have that song really picks out to me because my dad decided to talk me through that entire song one time. So
oh boy.
Well, explain what it was about. I was younger when that happened.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, see, I didn't really know what it was about, so that's probably why I didn't pick up on that.
He explained a lot of The Wall to me, so.
Interesting. Some other things I picked up on, though, some references here, definitely to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, not even just from the story, but they actually mention it. I'll get there in a minute. Also, The Thing and Terminator 2. Terminator 2 might be a stretch, though, so you can tell me how far of a stretch this is. Obviously, Coach Willis is played by Robert Patrick, who played the T-1000 in T2, but there seems to be other nods to Terminator, like Casey's last name is Connor, perhaps referencing Sarah and John. However, it's hard to argue that there isn't some sort of reference because one of the teacher's full names is Edward Furlong.
Yeah, no, those were all intentional.
Okay, all right. I'm just double checking. But yeah, the references to Invasion of the Body Snatchers is quite interesting because I literally had written down in my notes like, oh man, this is just Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with teens in a school, and it's not they don't need pods, they don't have to grow inside of pods. They're just attached to their body. But Stokely is talking about how Invasion of the Body Snatchers is just a ripoff of the Puppet Masters. So I wanted to dump some knowledge here, which I found very interesting. Is the Puppet Masters is a novel, science fiction novel from 1951, in which an American secret agent battles parasitic invaders from outer space, and the invaders latch on to the back of people's necks or something like that, and it's like a parasite that controls them, as opposed to Jacques Finney's 1955 science fiction novel, The Body Snatchers, which we've already done on this show. They replicate bodies and pods, and then those people take over and blah, blah, blah. So this vibe so much more like The Puppet Master, which I didn't know was a thing. And there's also a movie from 1994 called The Puppet Masters, which weirdly enough has Donald Sutherland in it as well. Not as good of ratings, but nonetheless. So I thought that was interesting because it does vibe like that. But you don't even really know that's what it is until what's the defining moment when you're like, oh, this is some sort of alien parasite?
In that movie,
in The Faculty.
That's what I'm saying, in The Faculty.
Oh, I thought you were referencing Invasion. Sorry.
Well, when you first see the thing in the water, when they're showing it to the teacher, but more specifically when when the other teachers attack the nurse and do it to her.
Yeah, I guess that's probably
that's when you get the real sense of, oh, and she steps out and they all kind of look at each other like, oh, it's all of them. Okay. That's when you get the strongest hint that it's a group project.
Well, yeah, because I would say when they first find the new species that Casey comes across and they put it in the tank, that's obviously great foreshadowing because you're like, oh, this is a weird species that can apparently duplicate itself at any moment, but you don't think that's going to be the reason why everything's going weird.
Yeah.
You don't realize that those are attaching themselves to hosts because they survive with water and they thrive on water. That's why they're attaching to human hosts, because we're mostly made of water. And then they're having them consume ungodly amounts of water. Like when they open the pantry and it's just all water. They don't drink coffee anymore. The alcoholic's not drinking liquor anymore. It's just all water. You're like, good grief. Another good point of foreshadowing too was.
Do you think after that he was detoxed?
Probably. Flushed all that shit out. The foreshadowing though of Jon Stewart's character saying, "Why don't you just put a pen in my eye?" 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because he gets a pen right in the eye. Let's see what else we have here. Oh yeah, my point of not knowing what's going on for a while until the whole incident in the faculty lounge happens. That's pretty much when you're suspicious of things.
Yeah.
Especially when I thought he was trying to put a tongue down Salma Hayek's ear, but it was the parasite, or at least it looked like a tongue. I thought, but it's not. That's also a great scene. Who was the dead body in the closet again?
It was the
other nurse.
The old lady. I think she's the librarian.
Okay. Because I thought...
Mrs. Hummel?
I thought that the lady that was in the shower...
That was her.
Yeah, I thought that was the principal for a second. And then when Principal Drake came out, I was like, wait, didn't you die? And I was like, I must have missed who that was in the shower.
Yeah, in the shower, it was the nurse, or not the nurse, sorry, the librarian.
Okay.
And then they put her body in the
closet.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, where else would you put that?
I don't know, the ground, maybe bury it. I don't know. That's not on the agenda for the aliens. Just stuff her, just throw me in the trash when I'm dead.
Pretty much.
Something that we both noted. Well, I noticed and pointed out to you, which I thought was very bizarre, is when not only does Zeke sell scat, which, by the way, that's the worst name for a drug ever. He's also selling pornos, VHS, because these people come to his car and they're like, it's Nev Campbell and Jennifer Love Hewitt, right? And Zeke says, yep, full frontal. And I'm like, did I miss this movie? What movie is this? I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
what was that about? Because I mean, Kevin Williamson wrote those movies, so like he also wrote this one. So that seems weird to be thrown into the script.
It was probably just a joke because I'm pretty sure neither of them have ever done full nudity. I'm fairly certain neither of them have, so it was probably just a joke on that.
Well, I mean, I assume it must be because 1996 was Scream, then 97, I Know What You Did Last Summer, then 98 was this.
Hell, she didn't do nudity in Wild Things.
Who, Neve Campbell?
Yeah.
No, but she was making out with what's-her-face, Denise Richards.
And Denise Richards was, so if she wasn't doing it in that movie, she wasn't doing it.
Oh, I think the funniest realization that everyone comes to in the movie is that the scat kills the aliens. It's like, hooray drugs? Are we celebrating drugs?
This drug, yes.
I think Dare would kind of be really pissed that it just seems like, well, if we didn't have the drugs, how would we have stopped them?
Or the message is drugs kill.
See, no, I'm thinking it's like, hooray, you made those drugs because without it, we would all be dead.
I think it's less that and more just like, well, it's convenient you've made a solution because we have shit else to do.
So we're looking at it two totally different ways.
But also, what were they supposed to do? Be a bunch of teenagers who just happened to have someone who had access to guns? Like, they had the one gun.
Yeah, they did have the one gun. I just thought it was funny. But then you find out it's mostly caffeine pills anyways, so.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. Like, hooray, drugs. We did it. We saved the day. What do you got over there? What's cooking up in your head?
For
likes.
Okay, well, you were going on for a while, so I don't know which thing we're on.
I thought we were going back and forth just fine, but all right.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I really enjoy this cast. I think they worked really well together. Honestly, the only character I wasn't super into as a character was Delilah, because her thinking she's better than everyone thing, which I love that Casey called her out on, sometimes got a bit grating. Like, is it necessary to be that kind of bitch right now in this scenario? But I really like the Casey really standing up and saying, hey, we gotta do something about this because everybody else is like, this is fucked up and we gotta go. And Casey's like, no, we gotta do something because it's going to take everybody.
Leave it to the nerd. Well, he also tells her too, he's like, Delilah, you're kind of a bitch. It's just like, you go, Casey.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So many of these characters are used to being isolated and used to avoiding their problems by hiding or putting on personas. And Casey, I guess Casey would be the only one who's just trying to live his life and not get his ass kicked. And he's like, hey, instead of going to default runaway mode, pretend it's not your problem mode, because the entire school is made up of people who really ignore problems or are overly aggressive for some reason. Very aggressive school.
Very aggressive school.
Casey's like, we have to actually do something because we're the only ones left before it's too late.
Yeah, we don't know how much he got beat up, but we see him get beat up at least once when he gets his junk rammed into the flagpole.
Which, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a weird thing to do. And he's in the bathroom and his nose is bleeding. It's entirely possible that might have been the catalyst for him being like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of this shit. And then all of this happened and he was like, this is my opportunity to make myself, not a presence, but this is my opportunity to finally do something, I'm going to do something about this. It's entirely possible that that's just speculation though.
I think he has a history of being beat up because I think someone mentioned him getting railed with the flagpole too many times, or hit with the junk with the flagpole too many times. I'm
just saying this could have been the time that he was like, I'm standing up now. I'm tired of getting beaten up. That's what I'm saying. Well,
because Delilah wants to find a scoop and they're sticking together. Well, she also hauls ass, and he is the one who says, no, something bad happens. He speaks up, and then when everybody doesn't believe him, I think that was the catalyst, is he saw something bad happen. No one believed him when he had no reason to lie. He has no history of doing anything like that, and yet he was dismissed. And I think that's when he was like, what the hell? And I think that's the moment where he was like, no, something's wrong and someone has to do something. If nobody else is going to do this shit, I'm going to do it.
Well, then that's probably then the getting beat up probably had something to do with that too, because it reminded him of getting beaten up when no one was doing anything about it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I think maybe those just kind of coincided. Like literally no one stopped them from getting beaten up, and now no one's listening to him or doing anything about it when he knows he's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Casey, the real MVP of this movie, such a great character. Do you have anything else?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. There's a couple more things. Like, I enjoy the hive mind mentality. It's kind of hive mind, but not really. It's that whole, if we kill the boss, then all the other parasites will die too. It's kind of vampire-y.
Yeah.
Some vampires have that lore.
And it doesn't feel, and it's not like they can all think each other's thoughts, but it's almost like they're running on a similar signal where, like, when something happens, they all know what they need to do, but it's not like they'll discuss things with each other. They'll have discussions out loud to each other, so they're not all thinking the same thoughts.
Yeah.
But when they're called to like action, they all know exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. Exactly.
Almost like worker bees, like a.
I was gonna say once if the queen bee dies, something goes on in those hives, right? I mean, I don't think all the bees die, but they don't know what the fuck to do.
You're thinking of ants.
Whatever.
If a queen bee dies, another queen bee comes into play. They always have babies on the.
Okay.
Yeah, but an ant.
The hierarchy is so much better than ants.
The queen ant has to make food for the other ants. So if she dies, there's no way for them to eat. That's fire ants.
Okay.
Because my dad also told me that.
What?
He used to work in pest control. He knows things.
Two more things I got here is that this movie has some of the most excellent CG for the 90s. I mean, yes, there are a couple of wonky bits
that are a little smooth
at the end with the big monster, but all of the other effects, like with the teachers and stuff, like 9 out of 10 holds up so well.
They used it sparingly, and I think that's what matters.
And also, Robert Rodriguez really likes things to just melt, because he did that in From Dusk Till Dawn and this movie. And then, I mean, the twist of Mary Beth actually being the thing that brought the parasites to the school, like an amazing twist. Fantastic twist.
I didn't think it was that big of a twist because they've all known each other for years. So,
yeah, but I didn't think it was going to be necessarily a person that brought it in. I mean, she is the alien queen or whatever. And because you only get a glimpse of someone's shadow talking to Patrick Willis. So it's like, you don't know if that was even a human being or not. So I just like the twist of what?
Say Patrick Willis?
Whatever.
Robert Patrick.
I was trying to Coach Willis. Whatever. Fucking dude. T-1000. That's
good old what's his face.
That's what I'm going to call him. I just thought it was, fun that she's like, I'm the big great alien being. So.
Yeah, and I like how they start referring to it as a queen, never a king, implying that it is a female who's responsible for what's happening.
Fuck the patriarchy.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't saying that sarcastically.
No.
I was being for real.
Well, that's the fun thing with these. It's always a queen in these situations, not a king, because a king can only reproduce with a queen, but queens can keep reproducing. So yeah, I think that's always a thing in these sci-fi things. It's always a queen.
Yeah, that's fair. I only have a few dislikes. Most of them are petty because I just like having petty dislikes about things. It's just fun. Josh Hartnett's hair, fuck awful.
It's so bad.
So bad. Same thing in Halloween H2O. So bad. Stop it. Delilah's lipstick, because if it's taking you 72 minutes to apply it, maybe get something different. Also, I could barely tell you were wearing lipstick. So
yeah, Estee Lauder lips.
Yeah. Scat is the also absolute worst name for drugs, and every single person's bangs in this are wildly unhinged. Yeah. I think we need to give Courtney Cox a break in Scream 3 because some of these are giving her a run for their money.
Famke Jensen's
they're so bad.
Microbangs are just
so bad.
Slightly longer than Courtney Cox's microbangs.
Even Jordana Brewster's aren't that great.
No.
There's just there's a lot of bangs happening in this movie, and none of them are good.
They're all very 90s though.
Do you have any dislikes?
Not particularly. I mean,
so 5 stars then.
Like I said, or like we were talking about, the CGI is used really sparingly, so that helps it longevity wise. But there are some bits where it is wonky.
Well, yeah, I forgive the ending because I'd say like about 90% of the other effects are top notch. So
yeah, and also it's kind of funny that they're hauling ass to run away from all these people infecting them, but Mary Beth's like right there, and she could have easily just been picking these people apart one at a time this whole time instead of running along with the ragtag renegade group that's gonna save the day. She could have just been like undermining it the whole time, and she's just like, "Now I'm along for the ride. Are you guys gonna defeat me or what?"
I mean, I'd at least give them a chance,
Mm-hmm. But there was literally no reason for her to let them run around like that. It's not like Ghost Ship where there's like, "Oh, I need you to accomplish something before I reveal myself." No, this is clearly for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean, she has all of them in Zeke's garage or laboratory, whatever you want to call that, when everyone's been infected by that point. She easily could have just taken all of them out.
Yeah, and hell, she could have done it to Zeke when they were alone together. She could have easily just casually peppered in discussions to the side with everybody. It wouldn't have been that weird. Everybody was doing it to some degree.
Yeah.
Why didn't you, it's just funny because she also could have gotten Stokely way earlier, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She was just, having fun with the outcasts.
I would have fun, too.
Like, you know what? They've got it. We're going to do this thing, and we'll circle back around.
You got to play with your food before you eat it, right? I mean, they don't really eat the people, but you understand. Don't. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. You shush. Yeah. God. Hooks for me is just like From Dusk Till Dawn. Cold open before the title card. I'm in. No further questions, Your Honor. What do you got?
Same thing. Yeah.
Are you ever lost?
No.
No, same. Okay. Horror moment for me is Mrs. Burke's head with those alien tentacle legs. Horrifying.
Yeah.
When she's just sliding on the ground and her head.
Yeah, I always like that bit.
Horrifying.
I thought they did a pretty decent job with the head part of that.
Also, that's definitely a reference to The Thing.
Yeah.
There's also another reference to The Thing we'll get to. What do you got? Horror moment.
Properly. I was trying to say Piper Laurie and probably at the same time. Probably when Principal Drake is like finally out of the school in the opening, and they think that they've like got her, and she turns around, she thinks she's safe, and Piper Laurie stabs the shit out of her with scissors, which is a reference to Carrie.
Is it?
Because she stabbed Carrie with scissors. You remember she's like up there?
Oh yeah.
And she just goes, "I've always wanted to do that." And you're like, "Oh no."
Well, didn't Carrie stab her mother with scissors?
No, she pinned her to a wall with a bunch of crucifixes, scissors, all that stuff. But her mom did stab her in the back with scissors because she was like, remember, she's hugging her and she's got the scissors up and stabs her in the back.
Yeah, that's Carrie doing it to her mom.
No.
100%.
She's hugging her mom when she feels bad about going to the prom. And argue with me. Okay. Anyway, so it's a reference to Carrie. And that moment you were like, because she's screaming too, because they're in danger. And for her to just go completely blank faced and stab her and go, "I've always wanted to do that." And you're like, "Oh, that's not good."
So that's your horror moment?
Yeah, because it was really unsettling when she did it. Because that's the moment no matter how somebody's acting, you can't trust them.
That's fair.
Yeah. Are you looking it up?
Of course I am. Because I don't believe you. I swear to God, it's definitely. Oh, I think that might be from the remake. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. She did do it, but because here she is with the knife. So she did stab her in the back with the knife.
Yeah, not the scissors, though.
Apologies.
That's why, because that line, because I was like, if she did it in Carrie, then why would she say that line? That line makes a lot more sense because she got stabbed. Yeah,
but we did get some of these angles, so that was fun.
Oh, God. Now I want to rewatch Carrie, even though I just watched that.
I already watched it while doing my... Yeah, because that's how she died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, that's a good one.
We're just going to mumble about photos. I hope you're enjoying these photos you can't see.
Something, Carrie. Favorite kill for me is definitely the pen to the eye, but not the monster at the end, because we've already seen this before. It is when Jon Stewart, right? Jon Stewart? Yeah.
Yes.
He gets a pen to the eye because it was foreshadowed and dies.
Yeah.
Right to the eyeball. Favorite kill for you?
Famke Jensen for that brief moment that she was dead before her head starts crawling off, because she's just like, yeah,
What?
crash it right into the buses. That's only one way. And Josh Hartnett falling out of the car and then kicking his legs in the air to close the door. You didn't need to close the door, dude.
No.
Yeah.
Favorite character for me, it's hard to say Mary Beth because she's the cause of all this, but she's just so dang charming. She's got that like southern little...
Just always tell, my name's
cutesy
Mary Beth
thing.
Louise Hutchins.
Yeah, she's hilarious, but I mean, really, it's Casey at the end of the day because he's that boy. What about you?
Side note, I think it's really funny that the alien went with such a southern situation, because there's that always seems to be a thing. Like there's a character in Buffy who's a demon, but when she's getting interviewed, she pretends to be an all-American girl and goes full like southern with it. Like, yes, sir, I love the 4th of July, because apparently that's just America.
Men in Black too. That couple is kind of a country couple. She's got more of an accent than he does, but
it's that whole like, oh, I'm in disguise. Well, I'm American.
yeah.
Honestly, I really like Zeke as a character. I thought he was really interesting. I know. But I think he's interesting because he's like, dude, you could have graduated last year, but you're here. You're clearly smarter than some of the teachers at this point. And what are you doing here? I just thought he was interesting as a character. It's not the guy who was too dumb to graduate. It's a guy who's too smart for his own good.
Well, and much the opposite when you put glasses on a girl to make her look ugly. You put glasses on a guy and now he's smart. Because he wore glasses for one scene in that movie when he was at his little chemist table making the drugs, and you're like, yes, smart boy, got it.
Yeah.
Well, he's my least favorite character.
Clearly cutting his own hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's my least favorite character. He's kind of an asshole. I'm not into his character. He's kind of a dick. For most of the movie, he's kind of just a dick.
Which is funny because that's why I don't like Delilah, because it feels like where Zeke sometimes more so feels like he has to be provoked or interacted with to bother people. Delilah feels like she goes out of her way sometimes to be extra bitchy, like being shitty to Stokely, who's literally minding her own business while someone else talks to her and going, oh, you're trying to turn her into a lesbian now? Like, who's talking to you? You weren't even in this conversation. Like, Delilah feels like she goes through extra pains to be a bitch.
Well, since you're on that real quick, I'll just do my favorite line as Delilah saying to Stokely, when did you stop muff diving? Fucking, like, God, that is just... First of all, muff is just the worst word ever. But just the way she says it, I'm like, I was like, good Lord, you're so weird as a person, Delilah. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
So least favorite character and then favorite line.
I just said my least favorite character was
Who?
Delilah.
Oh, Delilah, sorry.
Yeah, she just felt like she was just going the extra mile to be a bitch sometimes, or like nobody was bothering you. Why are you talking?
Yeah, that's fair.
But besides I've always wanted to do that thing. I really like in the end when they're trying to be like, no, she's the bad guy. No, she's the bad guy. And Zeke's like, answer me something, Mary Beth. Why are you naked? Like, if you're going to convince me that she's the bad guy, you should probably have clothes on. Because I love she looks down. She's like, oh.
You got me.
And then she goes into flirty mode. Just the look down like, oh, shit, right. You guys wear clothes.
The no nipples was freaking me out.
Oh, no, she had nipples. They were just really like.
Oh, I thought
they were strategically lit so you couldn't see them very well.
Weird. Oh, there's the mild sex and nudity. Got it.
Yes. Well, yeah. And you also saw her butt.
Yeah, that's not really. It doesn't really. I mean, it's a butt. Like they're not gonna.
You don't get to gauge what they call sex and nudity, man.
Anything else on the faculty before we wrap up here?
No. Probably
Really?
nothing that you're gonna not read in trivia.
Oh yes, okay. So moving on to post review stuff here. Taglines. There were a lot of them. 6 students are about to find out their teachers really are from another planet. On December 25th, school's out forever. Take me to your teacher. The students at Harrington High will not only question authority, they'll have to destroy it. What if your teachers really were from another planet? Think your teachers are aliens? You could be right. And lastly here, and you thought your teachers were weird.
A lot of these are wildly misleading.
They all suck. They all suck.
Not one of these teachers is an alien.
They all suck. Trivia. A lot of filming was done at the high school in Lockhart, Texas. The football team was used and the city was told to show up for the football game and were given fake t-shirts to wear in the stands. It was on the set of this film that Harry J. Knowles first got wind of Peter Jackson making The Lord of the Rings into a movie. He urged Elijah Wood to go for it, even though the actor had never read the book, which Wood duly did, ignoring the news that Jackson was largely casting British actors and videotaped his own audition.
Nice.
Here's another reference to The Thing. The drug test scene is an homage to the blood test from The Thing. During a retrospective interview for Halloween H2O, Josh Hartnett acknowledged his controversial hairstyle that can be seen in that film and The Faculty. Both productions hated it, but Hartnett intentionally kept cutting his own hair and messing it up to look more like an authentic teen. These antics led to fights with producers and the director of H2O who wanted him fired. Ultimately, that did not occur, and Hartnett finished both films.
That's hilarious.
Like, dude, don't sabotage your own career for hair.
That's hilarious.
Oh, no,
so
it's
just
hilarious.
like, no, I'm doing it. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
Got it. I guess you didn't put that trivia in.
What?
Oh, I just thought it was funny that Delilah reminded me a lot of a character from Buffy that Charisma Carpenter played. And she...
Who?
Her name is Charisma Carpenter.
That's a name.
Yeah. So she was actually... The role was written for her, but she was already playing that kind of role on Buffy, so she didn't want to audition.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah.
Should have seen Buffy and just known.
Yeah.
At around 11 minutes, when Casey nurses his wounds in the bathroom at the beginning of the movie, graffiti above his head reads Tito and Tarantula. This is the band of Tito La Riva, who also composed music and acted in the director Robert Rodriguez's other movies, Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn. And lastly, Clea Duvall is a lesbian actress playing a heterosexual girl, pretending to be a lesbian to scare people off. That makes my brain hurt.
That also makes it kind of a time capsule because pretending to be a lesbian to scare people off in this day and age is not a thing.
I mean, I wish I could to scare men off. I mean, men are the worst. Goofs, at around an hour, 3 minutes, Zeke states that scat, a diuretic, dries out the aliens. A diuretic makes you urinate and must be ingested to work and would not dry out an object on contact. Scat is a desiccant which would dry out an object on contact. There we go.
Yeah,
go.
It's just that weird thing about diuretics that people go, oh, you can't count coffee as water because it's a diuretic. Yeah, it's also mostly water, and the percentage of like diuretic in coffee is not enough for it to not count as water.
That's fair.
Yeah, so
My hand is hovering over the button because if we don't get a slap today, I'm gonna cry.
be weird if we didn't.
Rated 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb. 3.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, has a measly 57% on the tomato meter, and an equal 57% audience score. What do you give this movie, Gabby?
I give it a 4.5.
Oh, 4.5.
Yeah.
Well, I gave it a 4. So finally, after weeks, that is a Frightmare certified slap. Similar movies according to Letterboxd. We have Disturbing Behavior, I Am Number 4, Attack the Block, The Cabin in the Woods, and No One Will Save You. We desperately need to watch Attack the Block. It has been on my list for literal years.
Okay.
Similar movies according to IMDb. We have Tremors, From Dusk Till Dawn, Urban Legend, Jeepers Creepers, and Wrong Turn. Funny reviews. Proud of you. 3 weeks in a row.
I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
Okay, 3.5 stars from Karina. Josh Hartnett and Jordana Brewster in this movie is bisexuality to me.
Jesus. No stars, no heart. Just they logged this from Pilot. Just want to play Spin the Bottle with the entire cast.
Fair. 4 stars from Katie Walsh. Absolutely iconic to make Margaret White and the T-1000 the primary murder alien teachers in your murder alien teacher movie.
3 stars from Cinema Joe. Kind of like Jimmy Neutron, but with a lot more drugs.
Oh, I follow Cinema Joe on TikTok. 2.5 stars from Jamel Bowie. The Faculty, i.e., what if the Breakfast Club found itself in a remake of The Thing?
No stars, just a heart from Rachel Rhodes. Delilah and Stokely were secret girlfriends. Pass it on. And lastly here, 3.5 stars from Kat. Josh Hartnett's hair in this is like a Friar Tuck pterodactyl. I can't explain it, but it's hot and nobody even questions it. God, I miss the 90s. Woo! All right. If you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Slasher app, and now Blue Sky at frightmarespodcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can also follow me personally on Letterboxd as at Dr. Proctor. You are
Watson LMP 90.
Boo! Yeah. Next week, you and I. No, just kidding.
No!
Next week, Michael and I will be back doing The House on Haunted Hill? House on Haunted Hill? Whatever, whichever.
And now you're just obsessed with Famke Jensen, you weirdo.
House on Haunted... Oh, that's right. House on Haunted Hill from 1999. So until then, stay tuned and...
Stay spooky.